How you all doing, guys? And welcome back to the midweek mumble, which is on the Peaky Biker Show. So, just a little chat to you guys, just to explain why I've gone back to the Peaky Biker Live, the Peaky Biker, not the Peaky Biker Live. So all it is basically the that channel was solely for the live streams. Initially, it started working for me. It was brilliant, but I just found that the couple of little lives that I've done on this channel seem to get more views than the little lives I was doing on the other channel. So the channel's still going to be active. So if you want to, if you do want to watch any of the lives or the podcasts or listen to the podcasts or anything like that, then obviously it's all there. It's all available. As usual, this is an R18 channel. Possibly I may be swearing and stuff like that. So if somebody doesn't like some swearing, who's sat next to you, stick some earphones in. If you are under the age of 18, then you need to click off. Also, to Nico Pico for a walk, who's absolutely chin strapped. So if you hear him snoring, it'll be him snoring. So let's welcome the guests in. So first of all, we got my mucker, Mark from Leeds. How you doing, mate? How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, thanks for letting me come back on again. It's been a while, actually. It's been a while.
It's just been manic, mate. Honestly, it's been. Yeah. And secondly, we've got ABRA soon, so yeah. Which is I'm ridiculously excited about ABR for some reason.
Are you going off road this time?
Yes. Yes, with me and Dave Ashpole have had he's given me a dad chat, and I'm going to come and follow you two around and try not to fall off.
Mate, it'll be good. You'll be buzzing your nut off. So
yeah. Like I say, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
The full trail's not any more taxing than what you've done. Obviously, the little offshoots of difficulties that could be a bum twitching, but we'll get through it together. We'll ride as a team, so we'll get through it together.
100%. So really looking forward to that as well. And the next guest we've got in is already dropped an evening in already. Martin from Fentura. How you doing, Mark? You all right?
Very good. Everyone good there? Hi, Mark, as well.
Hello. Hi, Martin.
Good. So, are you, Mart? Am I right in believing that's a holiday shirt? Are you on holiday?
I'm on holiday. Yeah.
Is Mart's got his holiday shirt on?
Yeah, holiday shirt.
Where's it on clan weekends? He's got these white like deck shoes as well. Like he'd just come off his father's yacht.
Comes out in his white boating shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm on holiday up in Norfolk.
Norfolk. Oh, nice.
So
It'd be nice to get away.
Holiday. Yeah,
I'm off to. I'm taking Violet, my youngest, over to my mate's caravan site. He's got a caravan site in Borth, so we're gonna head over there to for a cheeky weekend in a caravan this weekend.
Interesting. So, I found a really nice brewery today out in the middle of nowhere in Norfolk. They got a tap room that was open at 11 o'clock this morning. So we're on the beer, thinking, actually, you could still lose your license drinking and cycling, couldn't you? So I just had the one.
Mate, I struggle on the motorbike, never mind cycling. I fall off enough on the motorbike, never mind cycling as well. And we've got a new guest, who's never been on before. So we've got Tom's TC. How you doing, Muka? You all right?
All right, guys.
Hi,
Good evening.
All good. Right then. So if some of you guys haven't saw Tom's channel before, you can have the floor, Tom, for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You give us a little spiel about yourself, mate, and then we'll crack on.
Cool.
On the chat.
Right. Well, so on my channel, I've got a Yamaha MT-01, which is quite a rare beast. And I also have a Suzuki V-Strom 1050DE, which is also quite a rare beast. And the MT-01 is my baby, and the V-Strom is my commute stroke, green laner stroke, everyday bike, really. So I tend to do a bit of vlogging on the bike, and I also do a bit of on-camera fixing stuff. I'm not very good at it, but I tend to record it. And just show my experiences on my bike, really. So Good.
Good. Yeah. Like I say, it is a really good channel. He does, like I say, that what is it? The blue bike you've got with the underseat exhaust.
The MTO1, yeah, it's like
Mate,
a
that
purpley blue frame on a silver.
They're nice. Very
that
nice.
is it's a proper nice bike. It's one of them bikes where you don't see many of them. So when you do see them, it's a nice.
It's really
nice
weird
surprise one.
actually, because if someone sees it, they'll go, "Oh, I saw you on that." It's like, no, it was someone else. It definitely wasn't me. But they're so used to seeing the channel that they'll go, "Oh, did I see you?" No. It
Is
wasn't
it
me.
1600 V twin, if I remember?
Yeah, it's off of the Warrior. It's basically the same engine as the Warrior, with a light and crank, revs a bit quicker. It's just a torque monster. It's got R1 chassis, so it's got the R1 rear swing arm, front forks from 2005, and 2 great big Akrapovic exhaust sticking out the back of it. So yeah, it's great. It's just a silly bike, but it's great fun. So
sounds good.
But it is a nice. It's a nice looking bike. It's one of them bikes where, like, you don't see many of them about. To be fair, do you? You know what I mean?
It's a grey beard attractor. So like you go to a bike meet and these beards just appear out of nowhere and they go, "Oh, what's that?" And you're like, yeah, and you have to explain it's how many and but yeah, it's a great talking point. So it's great.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Especially I think, especially being a YouTuber or a vlogger or whatever you want to. What are you now, Mark? Because you.
I'm an influencer.
He's an influencer now.
Well, when you get product to try, you become an influencer.
He's an influencer.
Is that true? I've done loads of products to try, so I must be like a super influencer.
Well, but have you had freebies?
Yeah, unfortunately. But I think it's one of those things where you sort of like, when do you say no? Because I mean, I've had Shiggy, which I must admit, Shiggy is like the higher end of the CarPlay stuff. But I've also got the Aochi, and I've also had Carpuride, and I've also got another one called Eonon, which is a new one to do. And now you're just swamped. The trouble is, you just end up putting too much of that on your channel. So I'm trying to sort of like spread it out a little bit. But I think, you know, it's good to have, isn't it? But sometimes the subscribers will get a little bit. I suppose you just don't watch it, but yeah.
I had the Carpuride, but I bought that off a mate, which I'll just jump on and mention something about this friend of mine in a second. And then I got the Eochi, which I was going to buy an Eochi, which I'm really glad that I got that email when I did. So I quite like it. I quite like the functions on it and stuff like that. But just
for the value for money, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So if I could just mention on the channel, my mate in the middle of last night had both of his bikes stolen. His 701, his Husky 701, and his KTM 350 Enduro. They literally came to his house, broke into his garage, and wheeled them away. He lives on the back of a massive field, and they wheeled him away. He lives up in Lake District. Danny Jubb dropped me a message and just says, mention it. So if anybody sees these bikes, he's up in Lakes.
If you can, Danny, if you can, either drop me a message with the photos of the bikes on, and then what I'll do is I'll put a post out, and then once one of us puts a post out, we can share that one post. Then, Carl,
I've already shared it on my Facebook and Instagram. I've got family up in the Lakes as well, so hopefully they're sharing it as well. But yeah, basically, little scroty bags have come. They must have cased the place because they had a entry and exit plan. You know what I mean? The car on the main road, which is the A591 that goes through Haverfordway, and they've come in round the back on the fields. And what
have you reposted that on, Mark?
It's on my Instagram and it's on my Facebook.
Okay.
So
what we'll do is if as many of us can share it as possible, go on to. Obviously, once we finish this, I'll jump onto Mark's Insta and his Facebook and share them. So if you can't find Mark, then I think looks like Tom's going to be doing it now. But if you can't find Mark, jump onto mine and I'll share it if you can all push it out there and help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All helps, doesn't it?
It's actually something one thing I don't ever really think about is security, but recently I've started thinking more and more about it, and I don't know why I don't think about security really, but I've always, if I can't park my bike in front of somewhere that I can see, I don't park it there. I just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it does worry me.
I've always locked my 690 up, and I've started actually locking. I've locking my GS to the ground anchor of my 690, and I've just fortified the garage by putting some pad bolts on the inside and stuff like that. So I'm becoming more aware myself now.
I mean, I've got the guardsman in my garage. So and that's one of them. It basically it's just an extendable pole, but it's measured for the inside of your garage, so it's kind of too high for them to lift up, but it's too low for them to drag underneath. So, but it's like when you go abroad though, like when we tour in this country, I'll take a lock and everything. And before, when I've done tours, I've never really bothered. I've left my sat nav on my bike and all sorts. I just left it. It's always been all right. And then literally, I'd say over about the last 18 months, I've heard of 2 bikes getting taken in France. And then this is probably the 4th or 5th time this year we've been on a live chat and somebody said, oh, by the way, X, Y, and Z's had the bikes pinched or a bike pinched, and you just think to yourself, oh, well, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Just buy it if you can't afford it, get a second-hand one.
Yeah, on tour I've been very blasé about security and stuff like that. Quite often than not, I bleeding forget like my chain or something like that. I always take a disc lock, but always quite blasé. And I was talking to Dave Ashpool today about ABR, and we were chatting to him for ages this morning, and he says, "Oh, taking a lock and this and that and the other." And I thought, you know what? I've never actually thought about even the ABR. Never even thought about anchoring it or chaining it through or anything.
No,
but we're definitely doing that.
No, look, like I say, the one thing I do wherever I go, I always take and where's Andy's? There you go. I always take a bike cover, always.
Yeah, Dave Ashpool does that as well.
And it might sound daft, but you can put it in the shade, or in the dark. Put the bike cover on, and it might sound daft, but it's out of sight, out of mind. If they see a nice shiny red bike, white bike, you instantly attracting attention to it. So that's why I always put a bike cover over it, because I just think, most people, unless they're intrigued, will walk past it. Most 99% of the time. And if people drive past in a car, they will see it with a bike cover on. Although it's a bit more inconspicuous with a bike cover on. But
yeah, it's an epidemic though, isn't it? Because the police aren't really doing that about it. It's crime numbers. It's will find me off a crime number,
Yeah, I never knew a bike went missing last year at the IBR. I never knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Danny said a bike went missing last year at the IBR.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know that. I don't know that. So, I mean, I've got a massive guard dog here.
Bring your German Shepherds then. Anybody got any German Shepherds that I can borrow?
Yeah. Can you rent them out for a night?
I've left my key in ignition before.
Yeah.
And walked away, and then come back oh, where's my key? It's all right.
Yeah. Like I say, mate, the once when we was in Spain, a fair few years ago now, for about 3 days, my bike, I couldn't find my bike keys, but my bike could start, and I couldn't find my bike keys for days, for about 3 days. I couldn't find my bike keys, and then it was till I ended up, I can't remember what I did now, but I ended up having to take my back box off, and they fell inside my back box, underneath my back. So at any point at all, somebody could have walked up to my bike, turned my bike on, and drove off. And for days, obviously, they was right next to the bike. So I was walking away from the bike thinking, oh, they've got to be on me somewhere, in a pocket somewhere. Do you know what I mean? But there was in the box.
In the box or between the seat and the box?
No, there was in the I'd obviously took some out of the back box and put the keys in, and then just shut the back box, and then riding that just bounced around down to the bottom. But I'd looked in the box probably 3 or 4 proper blowout look. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, man, look,
Open it and shut it.
like that. No.
Yeah, but I genuinely for about 3 days. I don't even know. I don't know where my keys was. I knew my bike could start, so I'm like, they've got to be here somewhere. So I ain't kind of worried. I had lost my keys, which that'd be a drama. But yeah, I was just like, I knew the bike could start, so I was kind of all right. But yeah, that I've always took a bike cover. Always, even at the ABR, I take a bike cover. It's just
Good idea, actually.
It's just you park in the shadows, mate. Anywhere in the shadows, put a bike cover on. You know what I mean? As long as it's a big bike cover, because like the one on my GS, I think it's like a triple XL. The one I've got on mine, it's massive, but I can pin it underneath the wheels. I can bungee underneath it.
You'll sleep under it, won't you? You'll be underneath it. You'll be sleeping.
Sleep anywhere.
I think one of the things that if you're on tour, it's nice just to book things last minute, isn't it? Sometimes, and just wing it and see where you end up. Problem with that, if you haven't had time to research how secure is where that hotel or bed and breakfast or whatever, Airbnb, how secure is its location? Where's the bike going to be?
Yeah, I must admit I must admit when I book hotels and stuff like that, I do a lot of research. I do, like for example, when we went up to Scotland, that Up the Moor in Scotland, I sat and researched that for probably 2 nights, 3 nights, just looking at what people had put, reading reports, what the crime rate is around there, and all sorts. It's just for my. This is just for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like really, for anybody else, but just in my mind, so I know that when I get there, the bike's going to be as safe as possible. And I always message them as well. Like I'll book a room and I'll say, I'm coming on a bike. Have you got somewhere secure that I can put the bike? I've had it before in the past where they've moved the bins, where they put all the bottles and everything. They've moved the bins out and we've put our bikes in there and they've locked that for us. So they've locked in the bin.
If you've got somewhere where you can park it out of sight, that's half the battle, really. Because people aren't going to be knowing that you're there wherever you are, knowing there's a bike there. So if it's out of sight, it's probably pretty safe. Yeah,
I mean, like, I'm sure this was on a channel. A lad had took his panniers up to the room, come back down, and then somebody had pinched his bike. Literally about 5 minutes. I'm sure that was on YouTube. I'm positive it was.
There was a guy. I think he was German or something. He was touring, and he came to Brighton, parked his bike outside the hotel. It was a Tenere. Literally went in the hotel, came back out and gone. And he's like, he's doing a huge journey, and getting your bike nicked. Oh, I can't imagine what that. He said he was like on the cusp. I don't know. I didn't follow it up really, but it looked like he was on the cusp of just going home because he couldn't get hold because he didn't have a bike.
Yeah, so. I must admit, I've spoken to a couple of lads recently, and they've had. Well, it was Richie Vida actually because he was on about he's had a what's the alarm system called? Really common one. Can't remember, but anyway, you can track it. You know what I mean? And like in my head, this is just me. If they pinch my bike, I don't want to know. One, I don't want the bike back, and two, I don't want to know where it is. Do you know what I mean? I just like if it's gone, it's gone. I don't want the thing back. I won't want that bike back. Anyways,
it's going to have been absolutely ragged, or if the chance that it was nicked by someone who was just going to rag it around or use it for what they'd use it for drug running, it's never going to be the same bike, is it? No. My neighbour just up the road from me had his bike nicked. He had a KTM 390. The police came around, did their bit, and he came around and warned me. And they said they found the bike just being run around by lads doing drug running. So literally running drugs from job to job, and then eventually just chucking it in the bush. Yeah. So I mean that's horrendous. That's just like so. I mean, and then you start to think, I'm down the road from him, so. But
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Like I say, I just wouldn't want the bike back
No.
for different reasons, for all different reasons. From knowing that somebody else has been on the bike, it's been ragged about, it's already been pinched, so you're gonna have trouble because you've informed your insurance. You're gonna have trouble reinsuring that bike because the bike's already been pinched once already. So you look at that, and I'm just like, you know what, I don't want it back. I don't want the bike back at all. I'd prefer to go and get a new bike. Insurance pay me out, go and get a new bike. But what I do like though is going back to a bit of security on it. Was when we went up to Scotland, you had Joe and Andy Harrop, and they had the light locks, but you can clip them together. So they had one each for their bikes, but they clipped them together, which made one massive one. So you could easily get probably 4 bikes there together,
it's
just
a new
using
one.
two light locks.
The new one's grinder proof, isn't it? Is it the new model that they've got? It's grinder proof, I think.
Yes.
My wife is so paranoid because she's got an MT-07. I mean, they're like, they just walk off with them. But she's paranoid, and she was looking at the light locks. And like I said, she was asking me questions about security, and I just don't know. I'm so naive to what is available for security. It's terrible, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of on the thing like, well, I shouldn't have to worry about that, but you do, didn't you? It's one thing now that owning the bike, especially if you haven't got somewhere secure to lock it, you need some sort of security, whether that's a tracker. I mean, I don't know what a tracker's good for apart from the fact that once it's been nicked, you can get it back. But like you said, Beaky, it doesn't. You get your bike back, but what cost? So
I think the thing with trackers, the more people that have them on,
there's more of a deterrent.
More of a deterrent, and a lot of trackers are selling in huge numbers now. I think they're rubbing their hands at Data Tool, etc. So many people are getting the fitted.
Data Tool. That's the one that
Data
Richard's
Tool.
had.
Yeah, it's what most people have in Data Tool because it's got the tracking, the immediate alerts.
There was one the other day. I think he's Sam V Bikes.
Sam V.
The one that you charge. You don't connect them to your bike. You just stick them on your seat or put them somewhere where it's not really obvious. It's £30 a year or £45 a year. I can't remember exactly. And that you get full tracking, everything else. But interestingly, Chiggy have come up with the LTE device now, which has got cameras front and back that you can connect to an app on your phone. So as soon as your bike gets nicked, it starts recording, sends you all the information, so people's faces, everything else, location. I think the LTE device for that is, I think you're paying about £50 a year for that when that comes out. But that's going to have, a full system where it'll feed back to your phone. There'll be an app on your phone. You can play a sound. You can talk to the people trying to nick your bike. So I think manufacturers are starting. We've got to cotton on soon that they've got to have something built in that's going to be a deterrent better than what they already have.
Just on the Monimoto with Sam, because you mentioned Sam, his girlfriend, she had a bike stolen, and they recovered it.
Oh right, because you had the tracker
through the Monimoto tracker. So what they've done is they took it, left it, and then they just rocked up, got it back, and there were all sorts of damage, steering lock broken, this and that. But yeah, he got it back.
I think that's when they're being stolen to order. That means the higher value bikes. If they've got criminals know that there's a good chance now that it's got a tracker on, so they'll do what Mark says. They'll park it, put it somewhere, and go back a day or two later. If it's still there, then it hasn't got a tracker on. And that's what they do. With stolen cars as well. If they don't have a tracker, they'll leave it for a few days. And then,
that's a good point, Andy. Saying there, it's not money off his insurance. If that's the case, then it's worthwhile doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. I remember when I first had the guardsman put in when the insurance said, "Have you got any anything on the bike?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "No, I've got a guardsman." And they was like, "What's a guardsman?" So I explained it, and I was like, it's a full system. It's like somebody stood outside. Somebody stood outside on guard. Do you know what I mean? But it was just like, okay, yeah,
Right.
and they stood there to attention.
Yeah.
But no, and there was just like, oh, okay, can you send us the information? So basically, I got in contact with the guys from Guardsman, and they sent them the information. And now it's actually on the insurance systems now. The Guardsman is, but they're not much off. It was only like 10%. But anything's worthwhile, like 10% is 10%.
The only thing with those Guardsmen, Bry, which I think they're a good idea when you've got a 1/4-ton bike like a GS, but a 350, you could lift a 350 under your arm. You know what I mean? All of us here would be able to do that. And a 690, 2 people can lift a 690 like that. Because me and my mate lifted mine in and out of the van the other week.
Yeah.
Without even using a ramp. We went, oh no, and we hoid it up. You know, we can lift it because they're only about 145 kilo or whatever they are. So they're not heavy. So on some respects, yeah, if you've got a big heavy cruiser or something like that, then yeah, it's good because you can't get it under, you can't get it over, sort of thing. But a 350,
I think if you've got one of them bikes, if you've got something like that, obviously a nice light off-roader, then you've got to have a ground anchor. You've got to have some other form of.
Mine's anchored.
And
it always has been. It's chained through the frame. It always has been. I wouldn't say I've got AAA rated locks and all this lot, but I've got a deterrent, you know. But yeah, you can't. You could put 50 locks on it, and if they want to get it, they'll come and get it.
I think that's the point now. That if they want it, they will get it, irrespective of what you've got on it and what deterrents have been put on it. If they want it, if that bike's that high value, they'll get it. They will have it.
Well, it's
if
like
you knew where Ian lived, you wouldn't ever think that he'd have even a pound coin stolen off of his drive. You know, it's just. I know he's on like the main A591, but it's so set back, and he backs onto 5 acres. He's got 5 acres, so it's like, you know, these guys must have been on Google Maps, or they must have been looking around for a place to get in, a place to get out, and going off and coming back and checking it out.
Oh, mate, like I say, you know, obviously being in reconnaissance when I was in the army, we used Google Maps when it first come out, mate. Even now, you can use Google Earth now, and you can look. You can see in your back garden. You can see trampolines in your back garden. You can see where you parked. A lot of these people now are looking on Google Earth and going, "All right, he leaves his bike out every night. He leaves his push bike out every night. That's gone. He leaves that out." Do you know what I mean? Every Tuesday, he'd go park in front of the garage every Tuesday.
Yeah, they took 2 e-bikes as well. Yeah, 2 e-bikes.
Oh dear, it's just relentless. And I think you have got to get to the point where it's sad, really. You know, we've sat here. I mean, I never thought I'd be that bloke sat here at 48 years of age complaining about these little scrouts nicking your bike. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely don't think I'd get to that point in my life. But it's just frustrating because we're more spending this money on your kit, your equipment, your bikes for our enjoyment. It's for our enjoyment. You know what I mean? And that's the frustrating bit, that when they take it, that's, you know, all the hard work that you put in to buy that bike has now gone.
I did a video of my MT-01 after I fixed the fuel pump, just sitting outside my garage, starting up. Didn't really think about it. Put it on TikTok, and it went viral. And I thought, that's really weird. It's a bit of a weird one to go viral. And I didn't really know much about TikTok. And I realised what's happening is everyone was sharing it, and it was all these scroats sharing it to their mates, going, look at this one. And then he went through, looked at a few comments. Oh, yeah, I know where that one is. I know where that one is. And then eventually I realised Cotton On deleted the video. But that's what they were doing. They were sharing the video amongst their mates, trying to get. And you think, well, how serious is that? I mean, I could take it a pinch of salt, but it stopped me from doing those sorts of videos now. I go somewhere, or I try and not have any, you know, when I go out on my commutes, I stop before certain roads so people can't see where I'm going and stuff like that. But it's quite scary.
Yeah, but it's like John McPhee saying here, you know, Is it down to the manufacturers to do it?
No, it's
Is it
not.
that-
But they could do better, and that would make their sales go. You know, if there's other, I reckon that you'll probably find Chinese manufacturers will start to come through with better ideas and better systems, just to be better than the Japanese and the Germans, because there's got to be, all you've got to have is some sort of tracker inbuilt on the device, or like, you know, inbuilt cameras, stuff like that. Crash detection, that kind of thing. I know that BMW do crash detection, but they don't do camera, because if you've got cameras on the bike and a thief nicks it and then takes it to their den, it's going to expose them. So, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I do
You
think
just
though
be
sometimes
careful.
the manufacturers do the most minimal thing possible. Do you know what I mean?
Thing is, though, make it harder to steal a bike, make it harder to steal a car. You know what I mean? You know, you've got these guys with these devices, and they're scanning your key, because you've got keyless drive. Only a few years ago, for high value cars, vehicles, and all this lot, they were home invading you, they were tying you up, they were torturing you. So what the balance is? Oh, just let him have it, or give you nightmares for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Scary,
What do you do? What do you do? In some respects, it's like, oh no, I'll leave the garage door open so they get the shit easier, rather than them coming into your house going, give us your keys. And it's like, what the hell? You know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like you say, you know, if somebody come up to you, like I don't know, for like these kids in London now, they're going out with these massive swords and knives and everything. If somebody come up to you, hey, give me your bike. Is your bike that important?
No.
Because I'd just go, mate, crack on, go and take it.
They
yeah.
can nick my Toyota Yaris. They can have that.
Probably bring it back.
No,
Go back and have it back.
no, they might. They'll keep it because it's got really good mileage. So yeah,
Yeah,
mileage gallon's amazing on that car.
they'll nick it and they'll be talking to each other. Mark, this has got really low mileage. It's really good on the
Yeah. Goes on forever. It's never been serviced.
Yeah. Have a look. Have a look through the book. See if it's got a service history.
Stamp is brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's just mad in it to think that in this day and age now, to the the extreme of when we was kids pinching a car, or the cars that used to get pinched and stuff like that. It was very, very often. It still happened, but it, not like it is now. Them just like rife now. Them that kind of brazened and brash that they even bother them now. They'll just come up like there's people walking in the streets and they've got the chainsaw going through stuff.
They just haven't got enough of deterrent. There's not enough. Most of the time they're going to get away with it.
There's no punishment, you say.
No.
And it's funny how so it's funny how, years and years ago, like, cars were so easy to steal. You do the tennis ball trick and you do the coat hanger through the side of the door and pop.
No, I don't know that, Mark. No.
Both got the same bloody haircut. So and then you started putting crook locks on, and you started putting this lock on that goes to the clutch pedal and all this lot to the. Martin knows what we mean. He was like founding father of all them devices. And then they started putting it through steering, auto lock through steering wheel. So
I've still got one of those. I use on my Land Rover.
Well, I'm just getting to this. So my dad was so worried because my dad's got quite an expensive car. He's got a Cougar hybrid, so it's a few quid, and it's got keyless drive and all the rest of it. And he bought one of those locks that goes through thingy. And I looked at my dad and went, "Good idea."
Yeah,
we come full circle.
It's weird, isn't it?
Full circle.
Yeah, but he probably has though, because like the locks that was on the car when we were young. Look at the telephones. If you give a kid now a telephone where you have to pick it up and dial the numbers, they probably wouldn't have a clue. They wouldn't have a clue how to use it. Do you know what I mean? So now you went back to old school. How to lock your bike up and how to lock your car up. They probably won't have a clue.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is like Exeter riding, get me teeth in. Exeter riders saying there, it is like the GTA culture. It is like them all think them playing a game.
Yeah.
And they like it's almost like them them allowed to do it. They ain't bothered. They're not brash. They're like, well, we'll just get away with it. Nobody's going to do anything. We'll just get away with it.
It's an interesting thing as well. Uncle Red did a video about some kids sitting on his bike, and they were good as gold, but they asked if they could sit on his bike. I teach my kids, you don't ask people if you can touch their property, you wait to be invited to touch their property, you know, someone says, yeah, come and sit on it, it's fine. I would never in a million years say to someone, can I have a go? Or can I sit on your bike? Can I do this? And I think there's more and more of this culture now where kids of generation think it's okay to touch someone's stuff without asking, you know, oh, it's free game, it's outside, it's not in your house, whatever. But yeah, my kids would never ask someone to touch their, you know, to play. You wait to be invited. You wait to that someone's worked hard for that, whether it's small, big, house, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's their property.
Yeah.
So,
But that's the culture now, isn't it? The
Not
culture
enough
now is,
respect,
I'll
no.
just take it. Yeah. The culture is now, I'll just take it.
yeah,
Mm.
and
You know
see,
what I mean?
no consequences.
Yeah. You know, back
There's,
in the day, back in the day, the copper would give you a clip down the ear, wouldn't they? And then they'd take you to your mum and dad, and then you get a belting from your mum and dad. Where now you just don't happen, does it?
Yeah,
There's
the local
a
Bobby.
huge problem with, I know it's not bikes, but shoplifting is rife.
Yeah.
And people know that the police are not doing much about it. So you can literally, people brazenly walk in and walk out of stores. My cousin has got some corner shops, and someone went in with a knife threatening the staff. Said, we're just walking out with this. Just went in, got some booze, filled a few bags up, and walked out.
And
Just waving a knife.
Yeah, the local
Stuff.
Lidl that happens.
Terrible.
My wife was out shopping the other day. Kids walked in. The staff knew exactly who they were. They just went, okay, whatever. They went in, filled up some bags, and walked out.
There's a Greg's round by us that the kids every day go in, walk in, pick the sandwiches up, pick a pop up, and walk out every day. It's just like, where are you going to stop them? They go, car, we're allowed to. We're not allowed to stop them, touch them, do anything. I'm just like, this is it's out of hand.
But what interestingly, because you know the costs, people think, oh, it's okay. The shop, they're rich. These shops, they're going to pay. They make loads of money. They can afford for us to steal some stuff. But actually, it adds around 3% to all of our shopping bills.
Is that on top of the fucking 14% and 28% of the government taking off?
Yeah, all that as well. Yeah. It adds on top. So
yeah,
you know, everyone's paying for the shoplifting.
Yeah. Well, that's why all the insurance has gone up. And again, you know, when I first started insuring my BM, I'm paying more now than what I was 3 years ago when I first bought it. And I've got 10 years no claims.
Mine's come down in price. I've saved myself about £200 a year.
That's because you're old, Mark. That is.
Some of the theory around shoplifting, with the police being allowed to, you know, being, you know, really back off on shoplifting, it might have a relevance to bikes as well, because whilst people are stealing food and booze, and then they can sell that for drugs, basically, a lot of the booze is stolen to pay them for the drug culture. They're not coming around to your house and bumping you on the head and stealing from your house. But I wonder if bikes also is a way of funding drugs and crime. And
will be.
It's whilst the police would rather have bikes going missing rather than people being beaten to death in their house to steal something. So burglaries have dropped. Those other sort of crimes are increased, which is probably knowingly by the powers that be. My theory, maybe wrong.
Yeah,
there's probably some truth in that. To be honest, mate, you know what I mean. That you know what's easier to just, you know, even if you will never see the car again, it don't matter. But to deal with somebody who's getting hurt, and there's a lot of processes there that they've got to follow, are they? At the end of the day, so you know it's like you say, but it was I think it was Airway. There you go. You just go back to the old style shopping over the counter.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably
Well,
the only option you've got.
Have you noticed that there is more security on these benign places now? You know, Tesco's, Lidl, Aldi. Have you noticed that Tesco's have got like a full barrier system on the way in, a full barrier system on the way out now?
Yeah, we
They've
got that
started to do
logo.
that
I've noticed that. But
because
that used to be the olden day. I remember that when used to go into. I'm going to sound really posh now, but when I was a kid, my mum used to work in Waitrose, so we used to go to Waitrose, and Waitrose had.
Waitrose,
I know,
Jesus, I've been in there once. I had to
They,
walk
they,
through.
they had barriers in and out. I always remember that. So
stop grabbing and running, but they're not tackling them anyway.
Just shoot.
But that's half the point, though. You know, it's like with the police now; they can only do so much. You know, there's that many people now, and I tell you what frustrates me. There's these people now who are doing these like audits, these audit channels. They were like trying to catch the police out and all this, like, and they've got drones and all this, like I genuinely find them really, really, really frustrating because now, because of these people, next year you're going to have to do a drone test. And not only you're gonna have to have your flyers ID and all everything. So you're gonna have to, rather than now all you've got to give is your registration. You don't have to give your name or nothing. You can just give them your registration. That's all that they need. But from next year, you're gonna have to have everything: insurance, your test. You're gonna have to do an online test and everything. It's just
any size of drone.
That's going to be any. By the sounds of it, that's going to be any size of drone.
Yeah,
I don't think what it is it's to close the loophole on the knobheads that are making big money, clickbait, and all these suing the police for not following the letter of the law. So now what they've done is they've put a raft of legislation in to go, this is the level of law, this is what you require. We can ask you these questions now. So they've just closed up the law, but then it affects you, me, and normal people that just do it for a little bit of B-roll footage or a little bit of fun or whatever. But these guys are making big money off of it.
Yeah, someone said if you get it, like I was watching a program about it. We all watch YouTube now, but I was watching a channel the other day, and he was saying if you get confronted by these guys, play music on your phone, play like popular music, because if they can't use the audio on the channel, they can't make the money. So like if you just, as soon as someone confronts you that's trying to wind you up, just play some popular music on your phone. They can't use it on YouTube then, and that's it.
They get copyrighted for the music.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think I've actually seen the same video as that, to be honest. Because I thought that's a cracking idea, that is. But like, I hate defending. Where is he? Birchwood biker. Right then, I hate defending the coppers. But what I'm saying is for them doing it, it's making other people's lives fucking more difficult. So now, if you buy a drone at 249 grams, you're gonna have to do a test. You're gonna have to do a test, and all this is down to them. Just basically, like Mark says, that they're earning a quick buck from, that basically the police not knowing the job. Yeah, the police should know the job, but all it is now is a blame culture. That's what we're living in. We're living in a blame culture now. If you do something bang on, then you're going to get away with it, and that shouldn't happen. If you do something wrong, something should be done. If you do something wrong, if you get caught doing it wrong, then you should have something done.
What they've done is there's a new piece of technology that's come out, like drones, and they've become popular in a big way, and they don't know how to categorize that device. Now they've had a few years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, of all this raft of situations, and now they've gone, you know what, we can combat this. Boom, blanket everybody.
It's always the way, though, isn't it? It's always the one small group of people spoiling it for everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, I just bought a drone, and I got the Neo, and I had the sole intention that it would just be a personal drone, and then I bought the remote. I still have to register it. Because it's like 100 grams, but you still have to register it. But you do still get. I mean, for me, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to fly over anyone's house. I'm not going to do that. It's just going to be film me on my bike. That's all I want to do with it. Do a little bit of scenery, little bit of B-roll. But it's gutting to think that I'm just sort of coming onto that stage now, and now it's going to be probably you can't do it unless you do this, this, and this, and this. I just won't bother, and that's not fair. And I think there'll be more and more rules coming in for like using your camera and stuff like that. Like when you're on your bike, and if you see someone on the side, it'll just escalate. But oh well.
Yeah, I do think no, but going to the one on the bikes. You know, Rev Bomb seems to say this a lot, and I've spoke to my insurance about it because I said to him. So Rev Bomb says that because you're getting paid for your videos, it's classed as a business. But obviously, you're not hitting a threshold for a business. It's not a business because you're not hitting a threshold. So, but it's when I spoke to my insurance company, I was like, right, I make YouTube videos, but I also use the cameras for if anything happens to me. So my cameras are rolling all the time. Yeah, I do make a video, but it's also for my security on the bike. So if somebody goes into me, I'm recording it. And there was to be fair, they were just like, you know what, that if you were solely a moto vlogger, that was your job, then it'd have to be as business insurance. But because you're not hitting any, serious thresholds there, as in money wise, you're not making.
Because I thought
I think you've got to make £800 a month before you can.
Oh, that'd be a dream.
It'll be a dream.
I'm not even monetized. So.
All say hi to Mark. Come on, all say hi to Mark.
When you get that first £1.50, you're going to be so excited.
Yeah. Well, I did actually. I tell a lie. I did. That worked first £1.50. So somebody kindly gifted me £10 on one of my videos. But guess how much YouTube took? Brian knows the answer to this. But guess how much YouTube?
I won't say anything then.
Go on.
Say that again, because I touched back on
40%.
40%.
That's a lot.
40%. Yeah, I got it was just under 40%. I got £5.60 something. I think I got out of that 10.
I got someone did it on one of my how-to videos. They gave me which is great. It's amazing. Like honestly, when people do that, it just makes it all worth it, doesn't it? For me, it's not about the revenue or anything else. It's I'd love a bit more interaction on my videos. I don't seem to get like the questions or the thumbs up, and people say, and I've been getting some thumbs down. And it's when I'm getting the thumbs down, it's when I'm talking about a subject that isn't a subject they want, or they think, oh, that's really bad. I'll give Tom a thumbs down on that subject. No, you're thumbs down in the video. You're not thumbs down in the subject. Because I worked it out because I've talked to a few people. They go, oh, yeah, I gave a thumb down that because I didn't like that subject. What?
People are dorks, aren't they?
It's not detrimental. It's not detrimental because I've had thumbs down on mine. I'm like,
any interaction on your channel is positive, good or bad. It's positive. Yeah. Well, we all know that. But I'm quite lucky. So I've got on every video I do, I'll probably have my loyal fucking subscribers of 20 people who comment every video, which is good. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I do to other people, because I know that interaction then is pushing that channel up. Do you know what I mean? It's making that channel, if that's matching against another channel and EA got no comments and EA's got a comment, then it's going to push that one.
I try to comment all the time. I try.
Like I say, I'm getting to the point now where it's getting difficult to watch the channels that I'm subscribed to, because I've got, you can't watch everybody's video, and it's getting to that point now where I'm like, I can't watch everybody's video that I want to watch. Else, one, I'd get no work done, and two, I'd be sitting here on my own every night till midnight watching the telly on everybody's YouTube channel. And you just can't do it, can you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have got to get to a point where you got to pick and choose.
There's only so much YouTube you can watch. But have you watched Adam Reeman's KLR 650 videos? Brian?
No, not yet. Don't say anything. Say I watched it. Yeah. Don't say anything. I was just ready to put it on. He's so
good. He's so good. He's such a brilliant creator.
videographer. He called himself the other day. I watched a
Videographer.
live of him the other day. On his Facebook page, he posted a live, but then I went back onto it to watch it again, and it had gone. But this live that he did, it's like a 2-hour like Q&A kind of thing.
What's he called?
Adam
Riemann.
Riemann. If you type in Motology, it'll come up.
Okay.
But yeah, he did this live stream, and there was just saying, what are you classing yourself as? Are you a videographer? Are you a YouTuber? Are you an influencer? You know what I mean? And he was just like, I don't know what I am. I ain't got a clue. You know, a videographer, what I used to do. So I used to make the content when KTM did their you know, their rallies and stuff like that, and the safaris. So we used to record that and then promote that. Do you know what I mean? So, but it was just a really good listen. But then when I went back to listen to it again and to try and save it, yeah, I couldn't get onto the link. The link wouldn't work. So I don't know what had gone on, but I just couldn't get back onto it. But everything he does, everything's like a movie. He could go out for the day to the shop, and it's like a movie. It's how he does it is, and the amount of drone footage he uses to as us as YouTubers in the side chat as well. When you sit there looking at, right, I've got to stop. I've got to get the drone out. I've got to set the drone up. I've got to put the drone in the sky. Then I've got to drive, and then I've got to come back. Look what I've done. So if it's worthwhile, oh no, I need the drone higher or longer or farther. I need it in front of me. I need it set to one side. There's so much goes into that, and then he's doing some mega trips, mega miles of a daytime. You're just thinking, how is he getting this?
It's like the other day I did a Green Lane video on the V-Strom, and I had all these ideas about what I was going to do, but then as soon as I got there, all the ideas were like, oh, that's not going to work, that's not going to work, that's not going to work. And then I did one shot with with my phone. I had to put it down, ride away, ride up the hill, make it look like I wasn't sort of like, just riding backwards and forwards. I must have ridden up and down 3 or 4 times just to get the shot I wanted. And then I thought, and I was looking at my odometer to see how far I'd gone, and it was only like a mile long lane, but I must have done about 10 miles just going backwards and forwards, just trying to get all these shots. And then you think, I spent so long on this, and then all the retention is really good, and you think, yeah, this is going to be a great video, excellent. And then it just goes, and you're like, what? I've done everything that you've asked me, YouTube. But
yeah.
It's when you see these guys who do it for a living, you kind of understand why they do it for a living, why it's so good, and because you understand how much work goes into it, even as an amateur YouTuber. But the amount of work that goes into it, just for me to spend a day filming and to get 10 minutes of video, and to get like you're waiting for that retention, you're waiting for that point. But they must. And when they say, "Oh, my views have been really down this week," and they've got like 500,000 views, you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm lucky if I get 1,000 views."
Some of the one of the channels I watch, USA channel, they've got a guy who rides with them, so he's the camera bike, and the footage they get is phenomenal. But of course, they've got it's a business, it's a full-on business. They're selling all sorts of stuff. They're collaborating with many people. So they're promoting Harley Davidson all the time, and it's just the footage is out of this world. And then there's me when I went to America earlier in the year with one camera on the helmet, and that's it. I'm thinking, I wish I could do what they did, but they've got multiple cameras going, drones going, a guy who's doing it all for them whilst they all chat away, and the footage is edited, and then all of the the colours, etc., graded brilliantly. The effort is just way beyond what
full production, isn't it?
Full production.
I must admit, me and Mark have both said this before. I'd like to get somebody else's footage. We spoke about this. We'd like to swap footage with somebody and let somebody else edit. And
I could send you quite a bit if you want. I've got about 6 slots to edit.
Send me some.
I've got shitloads.
But do you know what I mean? It's because it'll be interesting to see somebody else's take on what you deemed was interesting to what other people deemed as interesting. Do you know what I mean? Because like when I watch, like sometimes I'll watch stuff, or we might watch the same stuff, and like I'm like, oh, that's really interesting to me, and you going, oh, that probably ain't interesting. Do you know what I mean? But you know, it's horses for courses. But you kind of look at it and you think that's what I'd like to do. You know, you know, in the long term. That's what I'd like to do, more editing. I actually like the editing side of it, to sit there going through stuff, running through stuff, and making something out of it. But I would like to do somebody else's solely as well, so that when you put it on your channel, for people to actually see if they can see a different style of editing when they put it on the channel, just to see if somebody goes, "Have you edited this? Is what you normally do?" kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I'd actually like to do that. But yeah, comic cinemas or Marvel. I can think right about Dead Fly.
My most popular videos are just the most simple ones, and that's something that it's about the subject. Like one, I mean, I'm 6'6", and I did a commute home talking about being a tool rider. It's one of my most watched retained videos, and yeah, so. It is sometimes about the subject. It is sometimes about the effort you put into it. But I think overall, you just don't know.
No, you don't. You're quite right. Sometimes I put a lot of effort in, even at the stage of when you're getting it onto YouTube and putting all the chapters in and making sure that what you've said is mirrored in some of what the text says as the description. So people don't feel that they've ended up with clickbait. And they don't do very well. When you've done all that, you spend an hour and a half fiddling around to make it so that what you say is what you get.
Yeah, Bandit Man does all that, doesn't he? He'll do like a full, huge, long video, and he'll put all the chapters of each individual bike that he's gone to see, which is really interesting, actually, because if you don't want to watch some parts, you can just see the bits that you want. And I think that really works for him. And it's minimal editing. So he'll film a bike, they'll talk about it with his wife. She does like a narration, and it's just pure facts about the bikes that they're seeing. And then they move on to the next bike, and then they move on to the next bike, and they chapterize it all. And the footage and the whole video can be like an hour and a half, but you might only watch 10 minutes. So if you imagine you've got, he gets a lot of views. So if you imagine you've got 5,000 views, and people are actually watching the parts that they want to watch, you're going to get a good retention on that. So it's quite a good way of doing it, I think. So
I think if you've got making a video where there's multiple subjects in the video, as I was doing the other week, where I met some other YouTube guys, Wiltshire Man and Co, and looked at some bikes, and then went to a motorcycle rally, and there was quite a few chapters or sections in there. Also, I reviewed briefly the new, new to me anyway, DJI camera.
He's come to the dark side.
Okay. See that right?
He's walking up to the world.
Yeah, he's took his eyeballs out, wiped them, put them back in, and realised GoPro's shit. And he's come to the
I've not dropped a file since I've got a DJI.
Right. I was only talking to Richie Vader the other day, and I said to him, how many years have I been banging on about DJI?
Yeah,
it's got to be nearly 3 years now. And I was just like, in 3 years, I've never had a corrupt file. It's never froze. I press record and it records, and that's it. If I had got
I think the thing that no one mentioned about this was how small it is compared to the GoPro. So when that's on your helmet, it's a lot less obtrusive. It's much, much better. And the miracle thing is this: it just works. Well, it's brilliant. And then you can pop a battery out.
It just works.
The battery's out. Battery's out in a second. Brilliant.
And the other thing I like about it, you can do all that with your gloves on. You're able to take your gloves off and fanny around. And
where's your discount code, Martin?
For that,
You're peddling this, mate. You're peddling this.
He's an influencer now. Martin, you're
Yeah,
an
come on,
influencer.
you
I paid
influencer.
full price for it, sadly. And this is the other reason. The little microphones, brilliant.
They're
Yeah.
good. They're
Wireless mics are brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. So
Then
as soon as
fully
I stop,
waterproof.
I take that off. Only have one camera now. One camera on the helmet, comes off, and then whoops, I can't get it off now. One camera on the helmet, and then I put it on the selfie stick, which is this. And then I can, I can give another microphone to my friend David if we're doing a joint video. Bob's your uncle. One camera for the whole lot.
I
So
watch a
easy.
chap called Adventures, and he uses the DJI, and he uses one camera, and he's a really popular channel. He's just does like loads of camping and stuff like that, and he uses DJI to film absolutely everything. And I'm trying to get in the practice of moving away from my phone to use the DJI more for sort of B-rolls. I keep forgetting it's a good camera, but yeah. So.
But it's quite nice. You just dump all your files into your editing and just go through them. Mm-hmm. One camera for the whole lot. It's great. It's very lazy, but it's quick.
I must admit, like I say, I'd at the moment there's nothing on the market that I'd got moved from DJI because it's once your mic is in your helmet and that camera's on there, it's waterproof. It's waterproof. The mic's inside your helmet. If it's raining, you ain't gonna avoid with your lid open. You know what I mean? So you're waterproof. You ain't gonna worry about the camera or nothing. Don't get the mic wet. Yeah.
I still have a hardwired mic for the.
See, I don't. I wouldn't go back to a hardwired mic.
I use hardwired. The only thing that like with a quick shot, it takes like a second or two for the lav mic to kick in. You've got like really loud spot, and then it jumps because it must go from mic on the camera to then.
It does, yeah.
Then so I've just got to when I do it, I've just got to pause and then start talking.
But giving it its dues, it's about the same pause as you waited for the GoPro to get going. If you had the GoPro before, so
the only thing that frustrates me is fumbling around to try and press the shoot button. Who is it? That. But
so that's why I don't know if you can see because it's quite dark now. But what I've got on, so them, if you can see them raised.
Is it like a a bump for a door?
That's all it is. So like when you put chairs, if you could put like I don't know the bottom of your chair on a piece on a wooden floor rather than scratching it, you just buy them. You can get like 300 off eBay for like £1.50. So I've got one at the side and one on top, and then with your gloves on, then you can actually feel where you're pressing. You know what I mean? Even with your winter gloves on, you can feel it. Right then, lads. Right then, we've done an hour and 5 minutes. That's absolutely flown by.
I need to go anyway. I've got to go and lock school up.
Right then, I'm going to roll through some of these comments and say a few thank yous. If I miss anybody and you guys see anybody I've missed,
can I just
give us a shout out
quickly?
Go on.
So Kitty, whoever Kitty is on there, man, she's been involved all night. So I just thought I'd give her a shout.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that. I was going to say she's been on point. She's been on point. So we're going to start off with Kitty. Thank you. John McPhee. We've also had Moto-uk Ireland, John Pell, Exeter Rider, Buster ADV, Andy Arup, Biking Critter. So John McPhee, you know. Flat Cap Racer also here. Slowbo Lobo, Gravy Davy Rides, Andy GSA Tractor. Cole Sparky also.
Dave been on as well.
Yeah, Dave Ashpole as well. Mukka dropped me a text. I don't know if I said Andy GSA Tractor. John Pell. Pecos Paul jumped in. I did see Pecos Paul. Birchwood Biker. I'm just Motocrad as well. I did see. I do remember
yes.
Motocrad jumping in.
Check
How
check his channel out.
Yeah.
Check his channel out.
Yeah.
Rock video was epic. Sorry.
If you like audio stuff, Howie702, check his channel out. He's all into audio stuff, so check his channel out. Andy Mason as well. If you're into podcasts and stuff like that, he's not got a very big YouTube channel, but he gets some of his guests are absolutely brilliant, which is the Real Riders podcast. Check him out. That is I listen to his podcast all the time. He gets some really, really good guests on as well. And did I say animation? Trigger as well. That's one of my muckers from the army. Slowbo Lobo. I don't know if I said Slowbo Lobo, but if I've not, then I have. I think that is about everything. Right then, guys. It's been absolutely fantastic. I want to thank, obviously, Mark, Martin, and Tom for joining me for this hour on a Wednesday. The old midweek mumble back on this channel now. Like I said at the beginning, I am going to keep the midweek mumble live because there is a lot of lives on there. We've got some good guests, and I don't want to delete them basically. So the channel's still going to be there. It's just going to be not. It's just not going to be active. So from now on, it's going to be on this channel from now on. So as usual, guys, if you can all stay safe, keep your family safe, and all do one thing, which is smile. Come on, you know you love it. Cheers and muckers. So until the next time, stay safe, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Later.